Not watching TV.
Know the way to word that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they call it like a disease, but it's not. I just usually say like disorder.
Like, what's the disorder, handicap.
Well, yeah, handicap, disorder, condition, whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't use the word disease. That's like fucking like makes you sound alienated.
Yeah. No, I got you. I understand that. I definitely understand that.
Yeah.
So how tall are you?
3'5".
3'5".
3 feet 5 inches.
And when you were younger, when was the first time you noticed you were different? I was like, when did you notice?
It's a good question. Probably like first grade, because in elementary school, like all throughout my school years, even all the way through high school until I graduated as a senior, the school system in Ohio and down here, since I'm from Ohio, they always made me use a wheelchair for liability purposes because they didn't want to risk me like falling or being tripped or bullied or whatever, because the characteristic of brittle bones is you can break a bone anytime for any reason. I could get down from this chair and break my arm just because.
And how many bones have you broken before, or have you?
So lifetime, probably. I've been blessed because OI varies from really bad. Like, I used to know a girl when I was younger. Her family would have to carry her on a pillow. She was like a glass baby.
Okay.
And she ended up dying when she was like 3. Because she had so much trauma and broken bones. Like, you could literally poke her, and that would be it. So she had a bunch of surgeries, trauma already.
So how does that differ from like dwarfism? Like,
well, that's what everybody assumes. They're like, "Oh, you're short, bro. You're either a dwarf or a midget." And I never use the word midget, even on midgets, like respectfully.
Yeah. So what word would you prefer that people would use?
I always use little people.
Little people.
Little person, little people.
So is dwarf a bad thing to say? You know,
no, because people that are dwarves and midgets are similar, but if you look it up medically, the characteristics differ just a little bit. But people assume, due to lack of knowledge, they just say midget. That's the popular word.
Yeah.
So a dwarf and a midget are similar, but the words mean different things if you look it up.
Yeah, completely.
So
how did you handle being bullied as a kid, or did you get bullied as a kid?
Yeah, elementary school, I got bullied till about 5th grade, 6th grade, give or take. And then in Ohio, middle school starts in 7th grade. Florida starts in like 6th, right?
Yeah.
So I was in elementary all the way through 6th grade. And then I got into middle school. And everyone always loves me, but you know, you get that one jerk, that one rude kid that says stuff, bullies, picks on you just because he can. And but once I got into 7th grade, dude, I had so many like a fan base of friends and just good vibes. Like, if you were to say something to me and you were just a random that went to school there, you learn better, because you know, I'd have people to be like, stand up for me.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
No, for sure. So when you buy clothes, what size is it? Are you buying child's clothes? Are you buying small adults?
Yeah, youth. Children's place.
Yes, children's.
Shout out to them.
Along with your shoes, children's size.
No. See, a lot of people think that. They're like, "Oh, bro, your shoes are cheaper," and they used to be. But now I wear 6, if 5.5 or 6.
Okay.
So once you get above that 3.5 threshold, it's no longer kids.
Yeah. Because to me, you don't look like a typical little person. Like, your features, like you have long arms, you have muscles. Like, I'm not saying they don't, and a lot of them do, but I'm just saying your arms are a lot longer.
Oh, yeah.
And your hands look
See, that's the
bigger.
characteristic of a midget or a dwarf, again, respectfully.
Yeah.
They have the shorter arms, the chunky body features, stuff like that. That's just because it comes along with it.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between that and OI. Like, OI characteristics are different, but people just assume.
Yeah. So do you drive?
Yeah, with a hand control, yep. No one knew about driving pretty much my whole life. No one knew, like, how to do it right.
Did you ever think you would drive? Like as a kid, or did you just eliminate that, or was it always
No, dude.
like...
Driving's always been a lifetime goal.
Okay.
But through the process and, living and having OI, stuff would happen. And you can't even learn how to drive until you're 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
So by the time I was 15, it wasn't even a thought, really. Because my parents were kind of sketched out by it.
Yeah.
Because a car accident could be, like, super harmful to me just because. But as I got older, I'm like, I want to drive. I used to have a go-kart and everything in Ohio growing up. So Power Wheels. And I got into when high school started, everyone's driving, people are getting cars, and it's like, dude, like, can I drive?
Yeah.
And my parents aren't going to hold me back. But everyone was scared. Like high school, Northeast High School, they didn't want the liability. They didn't want to go through the differences. They wanted everyone to be under normalized circumstances. Like, you get in the car, we teach you, you go around this course, and then onto the road, next person, in, out, flipping them.
Yeah.
They didn't want to deal with having to do something different.
Yeah.
So my mom tried to fight it, wasn't worth it. And then once I graduated, obviously, I broke my femur for the third time, actually, in senior year, so...
So do you use a walker when you're in school?
Yeah. Well, like I told you, through school, I had to use the wheelchair.
Even in high school?
Yeah, it was all the way from...
You could walk fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just, like, long distances are hard for me. So, like, going far without, like, stabilization tires me out a lot.
Okay.
Easily. So the whole driving instance, I had all my ducks in a row. This one lady online that I found through a OI group on Facebook led me into the right direction on how to drive, who to contact, and then, like I said, that senior year, boom, I broke my femur. Bad. Like, the worst I ever did. It was like a shatter, tons of trauma, and that stopped my process of driving. So that I was getting ready to go learn. Had everything in a row, like I said, the right people up in Tampa. So that stopped everything for like 3 more years until I actually got back on my feet. Was told not to get back on my feet, but I did. And then after those 3 years were up and I got back on my feet, learned how to walk and everything, that's when everything just took off. Like,
so have you ever met anybody personally with your same condition?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's rare. It's not like you do it every day because it's rare.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but I think it's somewhere around like 50-some thousand cases in the U.S.
Okay.
But when I was younger, my parents were really willing to find out facts and everything because they were confused by it too. They did research, our genetics, nothing came up in the family, all the way back to the 1800s. So in Ohio, they joined a lot of support groups, and we would go to support groups and support meetings.
Okay.
About once every 3 months up in Columbus, Ohio, which is near Cleveland. So we learned a lot that way, networked, met families, people shared stories. That's where I met the girl who had to be carried on a pillow. So here and there, yeah.
So would you do it for fun as a kid? Like, obviously you couldn't just go out and play with everybody.
Oh, I did.
So, okay.
Nothing stopped me, to be honest. Like, I knew, when I was younger, I knew about what I had, but my parents watched over me. Like, they were concerned a bit, but like I said, they never held me back. And they'd be like, all right. Well,
so have you ever went to, like, amusement parks or anything as a kid, or?
Yeah. Amusement parks, water parks. Water parks are, like, the thing in Ohio when I was growing up. So.
Well, you can't ride a regular roller coaster.
No. There's this specific place in Ohio called Kitty Park.
Okay.
And it's still there. It's really old, but it's called Kitty Park. It's a kids' amusement park. It's got mini rides, mini roller coasters,
really
everything. Neat. Yeah, and all the height restrictions are like, I think it's like 3 feet. So I'm 3'5", perfect.
So didn't you have a mishap at an amusement park here in Tampa?
Yeah. Good old Busch Gardens.
So what happened?
I wasn't even mad, dude. So I went with my one of my ex-coworkers and her daughter at the time, who was, I think, around 7,
okay.
8, somewhere around there. I don't know. And you know, she's a little nervous at rides, so, and it was getting ready to storm out, so she was even a little bit more scared. And all kids think I'm cool, bro. Like, that's my biggest fans, are kids. And they're like, oh, cool, Shane's with us. Can you go on a ride? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. And we went into the little kid zone to this ride called Gwazi Gliders. It's like a scrambler ride where you get in a cart and it goes up and down and in a circle. In a circle, up and down. Voila. So I go to get her on that. I put her in the little cart thing. She gets up there. I make sure her seatbelt's tight. And then I get in, do my seatbelt. Everyone else is getting in. The attendant's going around checking, make sure everyone's seatbelt's secure. And then he goes all the way around the ride, then up to us because we're in the front. And he's like, get off. And I'm like, why? He's like, you look too old, get off. And I'm like, dude, I'm with her. Like, she's scared. I'm sure. I said, am I too tall? Ha ha ha.
And how much do you weigh?
Like, at that time, around 92.
Okay.
I'm like 95
so
now.
You're meeting the height. You're meeting the weight.
There was no, so here's the thing. So I'm like, oh, am I too tall? Ha ha. He's like, no, get off. You look too old. I'm like, whatever, bro. So I'm like, you still want to ride it? And she's like, yeah. So I got off, and there was a line for this ride. And this random guy towards the back with his family got mad. He's like, that's messed up. You're going to hell. He's like, let that man ride that ride. And I wasn't even mad. I was like laughing it off. I had my phone out. And I was like, haha. I was like, I'm putting you in the news. Because I had Ed Bassmaster's hat on. The hat. So I'm like, I'm putting you on the news. Just doing Snapchats. Ha ha ha. He starts the ride. The guy that got mad came up to me. He's like, bro, that's totally messed up. And now other people are kind of mad too. Because they're looking at the situation, what's going on. They're like, yeah, that's messed up. But this guy was like gung-ho. He's like, I already went and got another Busch Gardens worker out of the supervisor's stand. She's coming over. And meanwhile, this kid, he didn't know better. He had to be like 20, I guess. But he made a poor judgment, which you shouldn't judge anybody. And he kept looking back. He knew something was like going to happen. And I didn't want anything bad to happen. So his worker came over and she's like, what's going on? And they're like, that's messed up. You know, we told her the story. I got kicked off just because of looking too old. And she's like, are you under the height requirement? I'm like, yeah, I'm 3'5", and it was like 4'2", so way
That's
under.
The max that
yeah, way under. No weight. The only thing was a weight limit. You couldn't be over, I think it was like 110 pounds, 120. Nothing about age, just height and weight, no age. And that's what he blamed it on. So she's like, oh no, you can get on it. Meanwhile, the ride's over. My friend got off. And she's like, no, you can get on it. Go ahead, ride it now. And he came over. He's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I made a bad call. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to ride it now. Y'all put a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, Brooke, you have fun? That was my friend's name. Brooke, was it fun?
And how old
She's like,
Brooke?
no. I'm like, I don't want to go on it.
Yeah.
And I've been on it before. I've honestly been on it before.
And Brooke is a toddler.
Yeah, she was about 8, like I said,
okay.
7 or 8,
yeah.
somewhere in between.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And these people, these strangers, that guy and his family are going hard, dude. They're like, you guys are, they're like, we're filing a complaint. We're not getting on the ride. We're leaving. Like,
standing up for you.
Yeah, they put a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
And then it went to the news.
So, meanwhile, when everything was getting blown up and, like, the supervisor came out, he was getting mad. I was like, you know what this is? This is something, and I'm against judgments towards anybody, so I just turned my phone on, turned on video, and I let it roll, and I'm just going like this.
Yeah.
And briefly explaining what's going on as everyone argues and figures it out. So that was that. He knew he messed up. The worker, the young black girl, she apologized. She's like, I'm sorry, come back anytime, you're allowed on this. And I'm like, it says nothing about age, and she's like, nope. I'm like, just height and weight, and she's like, yep. I'm like, thank you, have a good day. I turned my phone off, and meanwhile, it started to pour. It looked like it was going to storm when I tried to get on it, so it was pouring. So we waddle over to, like, the little hut area where there's a roof, and it's raining, like, for about an hour, nonstop, hard. So we're stuck under this pavilion, and I'm all geared up a little bit, so I'm like, I'm going to edit this little video right here, just on iMovie on my phone. And I cut it all up, added some text to it. Took me about 30 minutes, and I was like, I'm going to put it on Facebook, just briefly explain so people know that judging others and whatever. It's just not right.
Yeah.
Here's what happened to me. Use it to your advantage and don't do it. And people started to share the heck out of it. Share it. I went into my office job the next day, and I'm sitting there working, and the main phone rings of the office, the company, and one of my bosses answers it, whatever. I keep on working, and she's like, Shane, it's for you. And I'm like, that's weird, because no one has the actual company number except my parents. They would call my cell phone, so I'm like, oh shoot, maybe something happened. So I hang up the phone, the work that I'm doing, I go over there, and I'm like, hello, and she's like, hi, this is Jamal from local Channel 8. Is it Shane? I'm like, yeah. She's like, can you verify your date of birth? I'm like, sure. So they did some research on me before they called me, because I didn't say anything about my birthday in the post. And she's like, yeah, we saw your story about Busch Gardens. We just want to spread the message as well. See how we can help you. Just bring it to awareness for more people. She's like, it's something, and we want to be the first ones on it. She's like, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, I'm at work. She's like, yeah, I know I called your work, but is there any way you can leave work and come into the Channel 8 hub in Tampa, like within the next hour? I'm like, I could. And she's like, or is it easier that we just come there? I bring a truck, a camera, and we come there, and you come outside for about 20 minutes. I'm like, that probably would be easier. She's like, all right. And I said,
they came and gave you the interview about
yeah,
it.
I gave her the address. They pulled up. We went into the far back of the parking lot to keep it kind of private, against some trees. And they interviewed me. They posted about it. It was on the local news that night, which is only about 5 hours later.
How did the amusement park respond to that?
They didn't. So Channel 8 posted it, aired it, put it on their Facebook feed, got even more shares. I think it was up to Channel 8 got shared, I think 3,000 times, that one article. So now it's spinning on top of my 200 shares.
Yeah.
It's spinning. And then, so it went from Channel 8. The second channel was WFL. No, I don't know. The second.
It was another big.
Another
channel.
Local news channel. So
they got exposed.
Yeah,
and then they didn't respond because they felt the pressure.
They didn't respond. So the second channel hits me up for the same thing. And they're like, "What are you doing? We want to share your story, just like Channel 8." Everyone was kind of fighting to share it and get something out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm on my way home from work, because this is all geared up in my mind. I'm thinking all different ways. Whenever you're interviewed, you always think about how you should have said it different.
Yeah.
Because what the media does is
they're gonna spin it some way that
the media tries to catch you, boom, off guard right away. That way you really don't have time to really think about what you want to say or plan it out. And they catch you, and like I said, you think about how you want to say it different after the fact. So that's what Channel 8 kind of did. They're very helpful, though. So after that interview and what she asked me, I'm thinking oh, I should have said this a little bit different. And so I'm like, I just gotta leave work. I'm going home to chill.
Yeah.
So I'm driving home from work, and that's when the second channel calls my phone, and I'm talking to them. They're like, yeah, we want to get on it, share it, talk more about it. Where are you? I'm like, I'm on my way home. And they're like, okay, well, send us your address. So got home. She's like, we'll be there in about an hour. I got home, ate lunch real quick, and my mom's like, what's going on? I'm like, the news is on the way. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, they're coming to the house. And she's like, all right, it's on you, do your thing. So they came up, they pulled up right in front of my house in a Channel 10, I think it was 10, Channel 10 truck. And they had 3 or 4 people with them. Came in the house, set up, interviewed me under the same circumstances, kind of the same questions, but in a different way. And this guy, Josh, was the interviewer. He still works there. He was awesome. He killed it. He's like, well, I didn't want to tell you until after the interview and everything I asked you. I already went to Busch Gardens. He's like, for the pre-story.
He's gonna spin it.
He's like, I already went to Busch Gardens before we contacted you. So he's like, I went to Busch Gardens. I went to their customer help desk or whatever. Didn't tell them who I was. Printed out the rules for the rides within that area, the Quasi Gliders, the kiddie section. He's like, I thumbed through it. I had one of my editors thumb through it. We saw nothing about age except for on one rod, I think it was, and it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
Everything is determined on height and then weight.
Yeah.
And he's like,
good to know.
Yeah, he's like, I printed it out, highlighted all the sections. He's like, so now we got our end of it and your second end of it. They aired it that night, only a few hours later, and he proved to them. Like, he pointed out, going there, page blah blah blah, line blah blah blah.
So did they respond to that?
They responded to that one.
What did they say about
Since they got called out, because at that point, the chopper was going around the ride when Josh was there.
Yeah.
So whoever was working that ride, maybe the same kid, he was pooping his pants, bro.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'm going to put you on the news. He remembers that part. And now there's a chopper going around the ride real low. I'm like, holy crap.
What did they say?
They said, we're sorry for the, real general, we're sorry for the inconvenience. All of our rides require an age limit. And something along the lines of, we hope to see you again.
Okay.
Real general.
So, do you drink alcohol?
Huh?
Do you drink alcohol?
Yeah.
Now,
Casually.
How does it affect you when you drink?
That's what people always ask, like, oh, does it take you about 3 beers and you're hammered? Or it must be cheap for you to drink.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I used to be that way. I used to never drink beer. I used to drink Smirnoff Ice, like in high school days.
Yeah.
And then I upgraded, obviously. That was only lasted for a little bit, phase. But nah, dude, I can drink decently. Like I said, in a casual setting.
So, do you love the perks of being small, or if you had the choice, would you be tall?
Small.
Small.
Because I don't know what it's like to be tall, and if, like, you asked me to trade, but I couldn't revert to going back to being small, I had to stay tall, I'd be like, nah.
Yeah.
Because I know what it's like being small. I like it. I enjoy it. I have to do some things different. Can't do certain things, but
like,
that's just what it is.
How did you get in that chair that you're sitting in? You use your triceps?
Yep.
Yeah.
Push. My arms are everything, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if I had the shorter arms and, you know, they weren't like this, I'd kind of be screwed.
We'll pan out at the end so the viewers can see.
My arms, I mean, we measured them one time for an Instagram post. I forget how long they are, but they're long.
They look very long.
I'm going to pull it up.
They look very long.
But
now, if you could help somebody in a way of telling them how to accept their disability, like what made you what made you open to being small? Like, what made you accept the stairs, accept the things that come with it?
So, I broke my femur 3 times, bad each time, but the third time being the worst in my senior year, like I mentioned. So, the first 2 times it happened, they fixed it, I got back up. Third time was bad, a lot of trauma, they had to like cut some bone out, rematch it. So actually my right leg's a little bit shorter than my left.
Okay.
By like half an inch. You wouldn't tell, but it's shorter. And I used to have a little implant in my shoe, like on my heel, a portable one to even my feet out when I first got back on them. But after that third time, they're like, yo, you can't walk anymore. It's going to keep happening in time. Your bone's going to wear down. I have metal in there now, so they're like, it's going to put strain on the metal. And, you know, there's only so much bone. Like my femur, he's like, there's only so much bone to work with.
Yeah.
He's like, I had to shave it down a little bit. You lost some. If it keeps happening, you're going to have to cut some out every time to line the metal to make it straight as possible. And you only have so much to work with. And it's not even the whole bone. It's when you get to a certain point, that's it. Can't do it anymore.
So did you want to play sports as a kid? Did that cross your mind? Not saying every kid should be into sports, but...
Yeah, I would have liked to play sports, but...
You've told me you swam before, though.
Yeah, swimming is my thing.
So you can swim really good.
See, the thing about swimming is there's no gravity involved, so it's like a harmless sport.
Yeah.
So I used to be on a swim team for a local rec center and all that good stuff. Because, like I said, you can't get hurt in the water, and I used it to my advantage. I was quick. I was the backstroke king. Yeah. Can't do it anymore to save my life, but backstroke was my thing, man.
So earlier in the video, you mentioned you had an Ed Bassmaster hat on, and well, did you do a feature with Ed Bassmaster?
Yep. Yeah, I met Ed here in Florida, Sarasota. a couple years ago. And at the time, my good friend Randy, who was helping me with content ideas, he's a real smart, like, business savvy person. He's like, hey, have you ever heard of Ed Bassmaster? I'm like, yeah, I think so. It sounded familiar.
Did you just look at
Yeah, and he's like, you ever see that video where you just look at the car and it has a guy going in circles? I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's him. He's like, yeah. He's coming to a local brewery by his house down there in Sarasota, and he's like, I think it would be gold if we try to dress you up like Chip Diamond, his character that does the people. And I'm like, I'm down. So we went thrift store shopping a few days before, like all day, dude, trying to find something that matched his Coogee sweater for the character. Nothing. Couldn't even come close. So not to overplay it, we just got a dark color to keep it simple.
Yeah.
I put some jeans on, and then we ordered this wig that looked somewhat like his for the most part that he wears. We bought it, and Randy's girlfriend, my friend Tiffany, that I've known forever, she trimmed it up a little bit and made it look more like his, like to the T. So, and then I had to go get his sunglasses, which are the ones he wears, if you know who he is. They're real simple. So we went to Walmart, found like the exact ones, painted them a little bit to make them all white, because I had a little bit of red on the side. Yeah. So, matched pretty well, except for the sweater. So the meet and greet was on this certain night. My friend Randy's like, sit real down low in the seat, because I'm dressed up, and what he's coming in is my friend Lonnie's truck, and Lonnie's truck is like huge. So you can see way down, and we were the first ones like at the venue. He's like, yeah, sit real low, because I don't know how close you're gonna park or anything. So I'm slouching down in the seat, and we saw Lonnie's truck come in. They didn't park anywhere near us, thank God. So we're like, let's just give it time, let people trickle in. You don't want to be the first one, and so
Ed didn't know you were.
No, Ed didn't know who I was from Adam.
Yep.
He never knew anything about me. And neither did Lonnie. I just used Lonnie's name after the fact because we're friends now. So, but Randy knew Lonnie just because he's local in Sarasota, and owns a big motor shop. So that's how I found out. So Ed goes in there. We saw some fans trickle in. It's a big meet and greet at a brewery. And Randy calls me. He's like, all right, head in. It's getting pretty thick. So I'm like, all right. So me and Tiffany head in. Tiffany's like, walk behind me. I'll kind of cover you. But when you see an opening towards Ed, just walk to it. Even if you got to push a couple people aside, they're going to go to the side. And he's like, just make eye contact with them. And then do his whole thing. And the dust sweep with your foot and keep going. There's a back door. Just keep going out the back door. And that's what I did. It worked out. I chose to do that when he had his back turned. Yeah. Taking a picture with somebody. That's when I started to go up there. And right when I got near him, Lonnie was like, dude, look. And he turned around and it was me. He's like, holy shit. And his phone was in his pocket and he's like struggling to get it out. He's like, bro, wait a second. And I'm going. He's like, wait. And I turn around and I'm like, and dust kick him, and he's like, can I get let me get my phone out. He's like, stop, what's your name? And now he has his phone out. He's like, I'm trying. He's like, yo, come back. He's like, can I get your autograph? What's going on, little chip? And again, I just kind of stop, look back, and do the same thing. And he's like, all right, bro, stop, you killed it, stop. And then we started laughing. And he bent down. He's like, yo, what's your name? Like, you killed it. He's like, this has never happened. He was just like kind of beside himself. Yeah. And he's like, are you staying here all night? He's like, I appreciate you coming. And he's like, all right, cool. I hope you stay all night because I want to talk to you. He's like, this is our little like table section right here. He's like, you're more than welcome to sit somewhere by it or at the end. He's like, these are all my friends. They're cool. So that's what we did for a couple hours. Drank a little bit until it was over. And people cleared out. And there's a back deck. That back door led to a deck outside. And he's like, I'll come in the back and chill. And he had a little posse with him, like his people. And they're like, we're going to the back parking lot real quick to settle a couple of things with the venue owner for being here. But don't leave. So they did that and they came back. And he sat down and talked to me. And just like you and me right now, never met each other. And he's like, bro, you killed it. He's like, He's like, people come dressed up as Chip sometimes when I do stuff like this, and they're tall, they're not like on point, they just are kind of doing their thing. We take pictures and I love it, and that's cool, and that's that. But he's like, you killed it, like you didn't smile, like you didn't care who I was, you look on point. He's like, so I got some crazy ideas. He's like, we're gonna shoot a video. I kind of told him what I did. I was just getting into the internet in a sense. And he's like, are you monetized? I'm like, can you explain what that even means? He's like, do you get paid for videos? And I'm like, no, I don't even have a YouTube or anything. He's like, no problem. He's like, Instagram, and he followed me and everything and looked me up. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, so I got a couple ideas. I got to go back to Philly in 2 days, where he's from. But he's like, I'll contact you, and he gave me his number and everything. And a couple months went by, actually, and nothing. I wasn't worried about it. And then I went back down to Sarasota to hang out with Randy and Tiffany. And Lonnie messaged me, and he's like, yo, come over. So I went to his house, and we chatted. Or actually at the mower shop. And he's like, yeah, he's like, Ed's got a few ideas on hand. He's like, when can you go to Philly with me? He's his middleman, pretty much. I'm like, whatever, just give me like a 2-day notice for my work. And so we planned it, went to Philly, did the video.
Where can they find that video?
YouTube. Just type in micro or go to yeah, PSH.
Like PSH.
Micro I'm deemed as micro Chip. Because he's Chip Diamond and I'm small. And I'm Chip Diamond but micro. Because that's real small.
Chip. And Ed Bassmaster is the guy that we're talking about who owns a very, very big YouTube channel.
Oh yeah. He's been an OG. He's like the original prankster on YouTube.
Yes.
Back in the day. He's had a channel for like over 10 years.
So this was a wonderful opportunity, and this video got how many views? If you could just, over 1 million, right?
Oh yeah, it's right now, I just checked today, it's at 2,058,000 and some change. And
it's really funny.
On YouTube. And then on Facebook, I haven't checked in a while, but the last time I checked it was at 7.6 mil.
And what's your YouTube?
Shorty Shane.
Okay.
All my platforms, so YouTube, Instagram, my written Facebook blog, TikTok,
and
all
you
Shorty
have
Shane.
Motivational stuff and funny vlogs, or
yeah. So I was really hitting the comedy scene when I met Ed and everything, and I had a couple characters planned, the introduce and everything.
Like your grandpa character.
Yeah. And then that was in August of 2019, and then only a couple months later, boom, pandemic hit. We had a few more ideas.
Yeah.
But we're gonna let that first one play out. And then the pandemic hit, stopped everything, dude. Like, even for me personally.
Yeah.
Like, whole different vibe in the public sense.
Because a lot of what you wanted to do was in the public eye.
And yeah.
People, in a sense, to make others laugh, etc.
Reactions are the thing.
Yeah.
Everyone put a mask on, started staying inside, stuff was shutting down, killed it. And everyone now, current day, is still wearing a mask. So the ideas are still there. I haven't done them, so everything. I was getting my feet off the ground. My feet were off the ground with it, and then all that happened. I'm like, dang. So I had to switch it up a bit. I always drove for Uber as like a side hustle for fun, and I ended up leaving my corporate job in the midst of the pandemic, because I was sick of it anyways, and planned to before the pandemic happened. So I just cut ties with that and decided to Uber full time. And I started like a short Uber show in my car, in a sense. So I would run vlogs in my car, do certain subjects, like topics to stick to every day or
so with
every
the
week.
Uber passengers.
Yeah, with the passengers.
That give consent.
That give consent, yep. And I do get consent.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful idea.
So I started sharing that. So yeah, right now my YouTube is a mix of comedy, then it got into the Uber passenger vlogs and confessions and some other topics.
Where can they find your grandpa video? Because that was one of my personal favorites.
The old grandpa character?
Yeah, so what's the title on that? Do you know?
So the old grandpa that I created, he's always 92 years old no matter what. Yep. 5 years down the road, I'm always 92.
You put on a grandpa suit.
I have a grandpa costume, yep. So we went into Walmart and we did a crazy scooter prank. Improv. That's what I really want to get into, is like improv off the top of my head. Yeah. Not really planned. Some things can be planned, but improv is the thing.
Definitely.
So we went into Walmart, and I'm dressed as this grumpy old man, and I have no clue what I'm going to do. I'm like, I'm just going to get on one of these electric scooters and act like it has no brakes and run into stuff. That's all I knew. And I had the mic on, just like now, the hidden mic. So he's following me around with the camera. Shout out to our friend Cash. He's following me around with the camera. And dude, my mind just like went to the right. Like, I'm like straight funny mode. I'm not even paying attention who's around me. So, right off the bat, boom, I run into something right by the greeter. And people are looking, and I'm like, oh yeah.
And you're honking. And
I'm honking, I'm using the little horn. And ain't got no brakes on it. So we're going throughout the store, and I'm like yelling at people, this ain't got no brakes on it, get the hell out the way. And they're like, oh. And they're like legit moving out of the way. That's stupidity.
You had an old dude grab you some condoms.
Oh yeah, I had some old dude.
Reach 'cause you're too short.
Yep. So it just played into each other, bro. I'm just going as it goes. I'm just thinking, like off the top of my head. In the old man costume, I have this little wooden pipe with nothing in it. Like I pretend I'm smoking, so I incorporated that, and I just did these jokes with people as I went by.
Yeah. That
played off each other, and it turned out to be something good.
I love it.
And then, like I said, that was even after the Ed video, so the whole pandemic came into play.
Awesome.
But the YouTube, to answer your question, that was a long answer.
Yeah, no.
Comedy to vlogs, and between vlogs, I incorporate a lot of motivation, like behind the scenes, and a little bit of talking, but that's about it for the moment.
Awesome. Well, it's great talking, man. I loved every bit of it.
I want to go back to, you asked how many bones I broke. I don't think I told you.
Go.
So, lifetime, probably about 15 total.
Wow.
Which is on the light end, because, like I mentioned, OI comes in all different types and characteristics. So, I've been blessed. Like,
extremely.
Because some kids, even as they grow into adults, they're like in the 40s, 50s, 60s broken bones, and I'm at 15. So I've gone through my mishaps, my trial and errors, my bad luck streak, in a sense, if you want to call it like that. But I've been blessed. Like, I learned from it. I knew I had to start working out. You helped me get on a workout plan. I started working out, building myself up, and just evolves. And I can still break a bone, like I said, for any given reason. But I don't dwell on that. Like, I don't wake up saying, oh, I can break a bone today, maybe I shouldn't go do that. I don't think that way. If I want to go do it, I know my limits. I know, like, bad habits and my routines I can do, obviously. I just go do it. I had to deal with a lot of red tape as a kid growing up, and even as I got older, red tape was always a thing to me that I had to get through. So now I'm kind of at the level where I just do my thing, and nothing really bothers me.
How did your parents handle this?
Well, I just kind of do my own thing and pushing through.
Yeah, just like throughout your whole life. Like, was it, I mean, did they show that it was a hard thing for them to deal with, or?
Yeah, like I said, they were confused when I was younger, like upset, because my mom plays by the book, didn't drink, smoke, use drugs, or my dad.
Yeah.
So they're a little confused, upset, and they always, like, watched over me more than anybody else would watch over their kid, just because they're worried.
Yeah.
So, but as I got older, my mom's like, yo, you gotta let him do his thing. Like, we can still protect him and watch over him a little bit and call him, but as he gets older, he's gonna be growing up and wanting to do this and that, or hang out with this person or that person. So, as I grew up, I never grew up, but as I got older,
how old are you now?
My mom just kind of let go. 29.
29.
And yeah, she just always like, be careful, call me if you need me. Same with my dad, and they trust me. So it's that trust issue, building that up.
Yeah.
Because I never really went out, and even when they were worried, I never went out when they were worried and like did the wrong thing or like messed up. So they really have no reason to hold me back.
Yeah.
Especially being 29 now, like I said, they just kind of let go.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it, bro.
Man, it was awesome talking.
Started writing. I love writing. That's my main hobby. So once I broke that third femur and they said, yo, you can't walk anymore respectfully, you shouldn't, blah, 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 that's when it hit me. That's when I started the whole online thing, because I was put into this huge fiberglass cast, body cast, head to toe, basically, like up to here, both legs, all the way down. Couldn't do anything, so that gave me a taste of that gave me a taste of, like, not being able to do anything, what it felt like.
Yeah.
You can't walk, and I couldn't walk at that time with that on, so I had nothing to do. Stayed inside all day. People would come visit me, but I couldn't get out. You know, I was stuck in the space, and it really opened my mind, because when I was younger, I used to kind of be a jerk when people would look at me weird or say something.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, you want to take a picture? Like, shut up, bro, or something like that.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I got more respectful about it, because you learn new things and go through new experiences. So once they said you can't walk and I'm stuck in this cast, like, it just came down on me different, and I started thinking, like, stop being like that. It can kind of be a blessing in disguise, like, kind of like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
So that's when I started writing stuff down, because I had nothing to do all day, being trapped in the cast for 8 weeks. So I started writing, and I'm like, I'm just going to create a Facebook page and plot my writings down, plot them. And that's what I did. I called it More Motivation, because my last name is Moore, M-O-O-R-E, which it is still More Motivation. I consider everything I do as motivation, more motivation for others. And then I created the name Shorty Shane, my alias online, what I go by. So everything spun into Shorty Shane, aka More Motivation. So I started doing all the writings, the written blog, and that's all I did. Shared pictures, wrote about experiences, tips, things like that. And then that only goes so far, so I wanted to create videos. So I started doing like 30-second skits just off my phone. And like I said, one thing led into another. Life goes on, and everything kind of came to life.
Well, how do you feel about having children?
See, people ask me that a lot too. So the thing is, my kid could have my disorder, or they couldn't. It's literally like taking a quarter, flipping it heads or tails, 50-50. No matter if I'm with a girl that doesn't have brittle bones or a girl that does, it doesn't matter. It's all 50-50 no matter what. So my sense in having kids is, I'd say no right now. I don't want to, because my kid, if they do have brittle bones, it could be way worse.
Yeah.
Or it could be like they don't even have it, because some people you can't tell. So in the sense of it being way worse, I would feel really bad and kind of unfair, because they can be bad. So I'm kind of scared or nervous in that way.
What is a
I want to adopt a kid. So if I ever have a chance to have a kid, bro, I want to straight up adopt a kid and give it like a good life.
What is a light case? Like what is the lightest case of brittle bones that you've seen? Like, what does it look like? Are they a little bit taller? Are they just not breaking bones as much?
Both. So somebody could be 6 feet tall, have OI, and you would never know.
Wow, okay.
But what characteristics of OI usually carry over from anybody is their eyes. Like, if you really look at their eyes, they have this blue tint to them.
Do yours?
Sclera, blue sclera.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger... Huh?
It lift up your glasses.
When I was younger, you can't tell right now. Nah.
Okay.
When I was younger, you could really tell I had like blue sclera in the whites of my eyes. It's kind of cool, actually. It's almost like you have contacts in.
Okay.
But as I got older, it lightened up, and now you can barely tell for whatever reason. But usually all OI people have some type of blue sclera. But you could be 6 feet tall, have OI, and you would never know. But you still had that generalized characteristic. I can break a bone for any given reason. That's the characteristic all across the platform.
Gotcha.
All across the board.
So what does OI stand for? What is the actual?
It's osteo, which pertains to the bones. Genesis, which pertains at birth. Genetic. Imperfecta, which means the structure of your body and bones is not perfect. It's imperfect. So Osteogenesis Imperfecta, OI.
Okay.
Commonly known. Everyone commonly knows it as OI, because that's a big long word.
Yeah.
So they just say OI or, oh yeah, Brittle Bones. Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
So it's not wrong to just call it Brittle Bones, like.
No, that's usually what I refer to. Yeah, even on like my Instagram posts and everything. And today happens to be February 28th, 2021. So weird saying 2021.
Yes, it is.
It's National Rare Disease Awareness Day.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool that we're happening to do this on Rare Disease Day, and I have an Instagram post all about it posted right now at Shorty Shane. So it brings more awareness to the table, man. I love it.
I feel honored, sincerely, man. I really do. And people are gonna watch this today, due to it being that day. It will be released today.
Yeah, that's dope, bro. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. And I'll put.
We've known each other for a long time. Like, you knew me back in high school.
Yeah.
I used to be shy, reserved. Like, I always had a lot of friends. No one, especially during high school, no one ever picked on me because they knew better. And not trying to be like Billy Badass here, but they knew they would get rocked if they did by all my other people.
Of course.
I have an issue, like, in 9th grade was kind of rough for me, but that's for anybody entering high school, being new.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you know me for a long time. Right now, TikTok is my main thing. I think it is for everybody.
So Shorty Shane on
Shorty
TikTok.
Shane on TikTok, yeah.
And you have over 1 million likes on there. I know that platform for you is very large.
Yeah, so I have 155.3 thousand follows. Okay. With 1.2 million page likes. And then if you click on any video I have the hashtag Shorty Shane, which is like a DNA footprint. Anything that you do online, add your own hashtag if you have one, because if a platform ever disappears, your hashtags don't. So you can always go on Google and type in your hashtag, like hashtag Shorty Shane, and even if the platform is gone, it will still have all my videos.
Interesting.
Or most of them, yeah. Most of the viral ones are the ones that stood out to people.
Nice.
And yeah, Shorty Shane, just the hashtag on TikTok, has 21.8 million views in total. And like I said, I'm younger kids, they're really like curious and watch me, and like, you know, they share a lot of love. So TikTok is filled with a lot of younger people.
How do kids react to you?
Oh, they love it, dude. Like I said, I used to be a jerk about people or kids looking at me or pointing and whispering to their mom or dad, and I used to not be so nice until everything happened. But nowadays when it happens, I'll go up and be like, yo, bro, what's your name? Like, I was Ubering one day and stopped at a gas station, and I had to go to the bathroom. I walk inside, and this kid's at the counter with his dad checking out, and he's like, like, he was loud about it. He's like, look at his arms, they're huge. Like, what's wrong with him? And his dad's like, shut up, like, nudging him. And I'm like, oh, it's all good, bro. I'm like, what's your name? I'm like, you want to take a Snapchat? He's like, yeah, man. I'm like, I'm Shane. And I'm like, what's your name? He said whatever it was. I suck at names, I don't remember. And I'm like, fist pump. And his dad's like, no, coronavirus, don't touch him. And I'm like, well, damn. Well, we're taking a picture, okay? So that's kind of what I do with kids nowadays. I go up to them because they think it's cool, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I don't find it disrespectful to point at me or stare. Like I said, I've learned a lot and been through a lot of things, and the internet has really like motivated me to create smile. As long as someone smiles and has a good time and find some kind of light out of anything I post or do, that's the main point. That's the goal. Big or small, that's the goal. To share with people that your finger hurts or whatever, it's not the worst thing in the world. People and other people have a lot more other things that they could worry about that's seriously wrong that they don't. So to pass that light on and share with you that this isn't going to stop what you can do tomorrow or down the road is the best thing, man. It's the motivation behind it.
It is more motivation.
Yep. Shorty Shane, aka more motivation.
Shorty Shane.
All love. That's my motto. You see it on my shirt. All love. And I know that's like a generalized statement, but it's kind of my fingerprint on what I do, and people know, so